Thank you, everyone, for coming this evening. My name is David Kay. I'm the Executive Director of the International Human Rights Program at UCLA School of Law. I want to thank you all for coming to this special event with Somaly Mam. I especially want to start by just thanking a few people and then introducing Lori Holden and tell you a little bit about how this evening will go. So the people I want to thank very quickly, Summer Rose and Jean Fontenot of the Clinical Department for making this all happen, Zoe Caldwell of LexisNexis, which is the generous sponsor of both the event and the reception that will follow, Nick Menzies of the Asia Institute, and Gail Kligman of the Center for European and Eurasian Studies for their tremendous commitment to seeing this event happen. Our co-sponsors, our other co-sponsors, the Burkle Center on International Relations, the UCLA School of Law, the International Human Rights Law Students Association, and the UCLA School of Law Journal for International Law and Foreign Affairs. I also, in advance, want to thank Professor Laura Stempel, Director of Graduate Studies at the Law School, the founding director of the NGO Stop Prison Rape, which is now Just Detention International, and a co-teacher with Gail Kligman of a university course on human trafficking. After Lori Holden's introduction, Laura will be conducting an interview with Somaly Mam, and then it will be open to question and answers for anyone who wants to ask Somaly a question. So that's essentially the order of the program. After the program, I want to invite all of you to join us in the courtyard for reception, again, that's sponsored by LexisNexis. So allow me to begin by introducing Lori Holden, who will introduce Somaly Mam. I'll just spend a couple of seconds on this, but she's got a long CV. Lori is a television and film actress and a producer and a UCLA alumna. Upon graduating from UCLA, Lori went on to study the classics at the Webber Douglas Academy of Dramatic Art, and she honed her craft at the world-renowned Larry Moss Acting Studio. She's created memorable characters in film, theater, and television since she began her career as a child, including her first break at age 6 in the Martian Chronicles with Rock Hudson. She starred in original films for HBO and Showtime, co-starred with Vanessa Redgrave in the TNT miniseries Young Catherine. She gained notoriety as a UN informant to Fox Mulder on the X-Files, and starred opposite Michael Chiklis as Agent Olivia Murray for Season 7 of The Shield. Her work in film includes her starring roles opposite Jim Carrey in Frank Darabont's The Majestic. She was in Fantastic Four, and she recently starred opposite Thomas Jane and Marcia Gay Harden in Stephen King's The Mist. She was named as one of the 100 most creative people in Hollywood in Entertainment Weekly's It List, and one of the 10 actors to watch by Variety. She actively produces film, theater, and television projects in addition to her acting pursuits. And she is avidly a humanitarian involved in a range of activities. She's devoted much of her time living and working with HIV orphans in South Africa and is involved in countless charity organizations abroad and in the United States. She is most passionate about Somaly Mam's cause and is doing everything she can to actively raise awareness about this crime against humanity in Cambodia and around the world. We are pleased that Lori Holden could join us this evening, and I turn it to Lori Holden.
Hello. My name is Lori Holden, and I am so thrilled to be here as UCLA alum and as a representative of the Somaly Mam Foundation. For those of you who are not familiar with this foundation, it is a nonprofit organization named after this extraordinary Cambodian woman, Somaly Mam, who was born into a life without family, kidnapped, enslaved, and sold into the brothels at the age of 12, where she was raped, beaten, and tortured for years, managed to escape, and has dedicated her life to rescuing, rehabilitating, and reintegrating victims of sexual slavery back into society. She does this in her native Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, and Vietnam. Somaly runs the largest shelters in Southeast Asia and serves as a global voice for all of the victims. To date, she has rescued over 6,000 children, nurturing them with love and support. They call her Mom. They love her, they respect her, and they know that she has changed their path forever. I had the honor of meeting Somaly at a fundraiser last year in Los Angeles, and after hearing her speak and reading her harrowing yet inspiring book, I was so moved, I was so appalled to learn about these crimes against humanity that I was compelled to take action. I needed to see for myself what this trafficking epidemic was all about. So I traveled to Cambodia, and I spent weeks with Somaly, with members of the International Justice Mission and other brave humanitarians who have devoted their lives to eradicating human trafficking. I visited countless NGOs, went into the darkest of the brothels, and assisted in the shelters in and around Phnom Penh. I spent a lot of time with the young women and children who've been victimized by sexual predators, listening to their stories, taking in their experiences, and I have to say, the human suffering that they've endured is unlike anything one could possibly ever imagine. And after hearing what they've gone through, my life has forever been changed. My eyes are now open, and I cannot ignore or forget what I saw and heard. I have now joined this crusade, and I am so inspired by this incredible woman, this modern-day heroine who took a life that offered no hope, no chance, only pain, and turned it into a life that gives so much hope, that gives so much love, and a new chance of life for thousands of victimized children. I'm here today to talk about my experiences with Somaly and Cambodia, about the epidemic of human trafficking, and to speak on behalf of all of the victims whose voices are crying out for global change. There is a real misconception amongst many people in the West and around the world that the young women who work in the brothels in Cambodia and throughout Southeast Asia are there because they choose to be, that they are loose women who have lost their way, dirty and shameful, and thus are treated as pariahs. In my travels and experience, I have to say, this is never the case. They are there because they've been kidnapped, or because their families have been tricked into thinking that their children are going off to do domestic work in another town or abroad to help provide for the family. Or they are helping to repay a family debt, which often takes years, if ever, to repay. Or they are literally sold outright by their mothers, by their families, out of barbaric greed for the price of a theater ticket. Throughout Southeast Asia, Cambodia especially, young women and children are taught to honor family first above all else. And many walk into slavery, following a trail of lies and deception, doing what many of us would do if our families were going hungry and we were desperate for work. They're just trying to survive. And as they find themselves trapped in slavery, many young women often redefine their bondage as a duty or penance, something they must do to honor their families, a fate they must endure because their Buddhist faith dictates that according to the laws of karma, they must have done something terrible in their past lives. But they are victims, enslaved, controlled through fear and violence. They have no voice, they have no choice. They are trafficked. Cambodia is the mecca for pedophilia, and men fly in from all over the world to satiate their perversions. There's a big call for this novelty, and this demand is being met. In Siem Reap, particularly in the northern part of Cambodia, the brothels are filled with underage girls, the median age, 5 years old. You see, in various parts of the world, in Southeast Asia, China, India, Africa, there is a belief system that having sex with a virgin will give a man strength, lengthen his lifespan, even lighten the color of his skin. There's also the belief that it will cure AIDS. It is frighteningly commonplace for a man to buy a 5-year-old girl for a week, rape her repeatedly, and then return her to the brothel where she's then sewn up without an anesthetic, and then sent out to be raped once again. This happens 4 or more times until the trick is up, until she can no longer pass as a virgin. When that happens, the girl then loses her value and is quickly discarded, traded to another brothel or trafficked overseas. Only in recent years have the police in Cambodia actively assisted in raiding brothels and making arrests of sexual predators. And even though they've stepped it up, they oftentimes have leaks in the department whereby the brothel owners are forewarned and many traffickers are able to escape with girls in tow. Arrests do happen, but the guilty are rarely punished. This is because many brothels are run by wealthy and powerful men with close connections to the police and government officials. And the justice system has been so corrupted by organized crime that the only law that seems to be adhered to is the law of money. Justice can be bought off, and most oftentimes is. Just recently, a young girl named Kasing was abducted off the streets by 7 50-year-old drunk men who slit her open with a knife and gang raped her. When the case was brought to trial, the men's defense was that she was provocatively dressed, she was sexy, and that they gave her money. The girl was 8. These men got off with a mere slap on the wrists. They had bribed the judge, and when they left the courthouse, they were laughing amongst themselves, congratulating one another on a job well done. Kasing was then ostracized and abandoned by her own family. She was blamed. This is not a unique story. It is the norm. The young women and children I spent time with in the shelters and brothels shared their stories with me, and truly I have never heard or seen so much human suffering in my entire life. Let me just add that every woman I came into contact with in Cambodia had been raped and beaten, whether it be my guide, the women working in the hotel, our driver. This is a society that has been traumatized by years of war, that is now morally bankrupt and places no value on human life. The women are treated like dogs. The girls who've been trafficked have endured all of this, but they've also been tortured in ways unimaginable. While they were enslaved, they were forced to have sex with 20 to 30 clients a day. And if they resisted, the punishments were unfathomable. I heard many horror stories of girls having nails hammered into their skulls, children being electrocuted with car batteries, how scorpions and red ants were poured all over them to eat upon their flesh, how they were chained to sewers, used as ashtrays as cigarettes were extinguished all over their bodies. One little girl had her nipples sliced off with a knife. Despite all of these hardships, these girls have such unbelievably resilient spirits. And I was so amazed to see how gentle and tender they all were, the girls in Somali shelters. They were so open and vulnerable, such sweet, sweet girls. All of them have been through so much, but they were not wearing their experiences on them. They were not consumed with the ugliness of hate. They were so loving and kind to one another, and they were such good mothers to their children. Children, I might add, that were conceived out of rape. Babies born in the brothels. These girls have never known any love in their entire lives other than the kindness of Somali and the NGO workers who rescued them and were taking care of them in the shelters. And yet they had hope. They were loving, and they were taking care of one another. And I thought, you know, we could all learn a lot from these girls, a lesson in resilience, of true grace. The girls I met in the shelters of Cambodia used to live in a world without possibility. The violence, both physical and emotional, that they've endured is beyond comprehension, and yet somehow they've managed to survive, against all odds in the harshest of realities. Their courage is something we can all aspire to, and it is so important that their stories be told. Their voices call for global change, and we need to carry their voices forward. Sometimes it's not comfortable to talk about these things, and it is never comfortable to hear. But the truth needs to be told, or we cannot make effective change. We need to talk with one another, educate the public about modern-day slavery through the news, media, and entertainment, by encouraging university and high school involvement, and having discussion panels such as this one today. We need to reach out and help people understand human trafficking on a personal level, because then, and only then, when you really get through to people and touch their hearts, will they be inspired to take action. Funding from government and international organizations such as UNICEF and USAID, to name a few, is essential. It is the only way to effectively save the lives of the girls who've been trafficked. Grassroots projects in Cambodia and throughout Southeast Asia are in desperate need of aid. Rescue operations need funding. Feeding, clothing, educating, and housing the girls in the shelters requires funding. Establishing social services, reintegrating victims back into society with newly acquired skill sets, and providing them with sustainable employment opportunities all requires funding. As to setting up childcare facilities for children born in the brothels. Without help from the outside, from governments and international organizations, these girls have no chance. There are over 27 million people enslaved throughout the world today. 27 million. These slaves are not only sexually exploited as they are in Southeast Asia, in particular Cambodia, they're also forced to work manual labor, producing commodities like steel and cotton to fill the global market with goods that flow into our homes. These crimes against humanity must be stopped. And the two biggest obstacles ahead of us, our greatest challenges, are changing cultural attitudes and tackling criminality. In many parts of the world, there's an indifference to slavery, a pervasive acceptance as sexism, racism, and ethnic superiority reign supreme. Prejudice binds the minds of the masses because it is ingrained in so many cultures, and it is very, very difficult to break through these kind of false belief systems. Supporting grassroots projects that focus on re-educating people and changing their way of thinking is key to turning this around. And it's going to take time, maybe even generations, but it is a necessary proactive step in the right direction. It will take tremendous integrity and effort to tackle organized crime around the world, and we are just getting started. At present, the Obama administration views the fight against human trafficking, both at home and abroad, as a critical part of the foreign policy agenda. The U.S. is now currently funding 140 anti-trafficking programs in nearly 70 countries, as well as 42 domestic task forces here in the United States. And yes, it is a problem in our own country. It is a substantial one. The Trafficking Victims Protection Act, the TVPA, that was passed as legislation in the year 2000, has substantially overhauled and updated our nation's approach to modern-day slavery and has precipitated great change and progress around the world. And because of the TVPA, the State Department is now required by law to submit each year to the U.S. Congress a comprehensive worldwide report on foreign governments' efforts to eliminate trafficking in persons. I'm sure most of you are aware of this report, the TIP report, as it's often called, that encourages continued dialogue on human trafficking worldwide and helps focus resources on prosecution, protection, and preventative programs and policies. This is the 9th year that this report has been released, and it now includes 140 countries. It is truly an amazing piece of work, and if you haven't had the chance to read it, I really encourage you to check it out because it is very, very impressive. Despite all of this progress, huge challenges lie ahead of us. Although more than half of the world's countries have enacted criminal legislation prohibiting trafficking in persons, with some going beyond the minimum standards of the TVPA and the 2000 UN TIP protocol by offering victims restitution and court proceedings and other protections, many governments are yet to respond to the global call for victims' protections or for effective law enforcement efforts against these crimes. The UN Office on Drug and Crime stated in its recent report on global trafficking that 2 out of every 5 countries are yet to achieve a single conviction of a human trafficker. We still have a long way to go. So why are we here? The most lasting and effective way to eradicate modern-day slavery, to secure a victim's freedom, is through the application of law, by holding traffickers and those who exploit trafficking victims accountable under criminal justice systems. The minimum standards of the TVPA call for the criminalization of all acts of trafficking, as does the UN TIP protocol. Applying criminal laws provides society with a measure of justice and hope that the cycle of entrapping additional victims can and will be broken. But we're going to need some more good lawyers to help with this case, and hopefully some of you are sitting in this audience today. I don't know if human trafficking and enslavement will be eradicated in my lifetime, but I'm going to fight each and every day against these grave injustices and this predatory greed. My hope is through raising awareness and by effective new policies and application of the law, we will all be able to come together and restore human dignity and basic civil liberties to every single person enslaved on this earth. Their voices call for global change. We need to hear them and take action. And now I have the distinct honor to introduce this extraordinary crusader, honored as Glamour Magazine's Woman of the Year, a CNN hero, and most recently named as one of Time Magazine's most influential people of the year. She is my friend, my sister, the ultimate mother and freedom fighter, Somaly Mam.
Thank you, Lori. That was wonderful. My name is Laura Stemple, and we've decided to proceed in a conversational style. We thought that might be a nice way to hear from Somaly, both in terms of her own personal experience and also in terms of her views about what's happening on the ground in Cambodia and what we can all be doing to help. So I wanted to, first of all, thank you for coming and tell you how honored I am to have the opportunity to speak with you. And I was hoping that you might start by telling us your story, as I know you've done many times before, but we'd love to hear about what brought you to this journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much to be here. I'm not a heiress, like she said. Even here today because all of you, you're supporting me. And then because all of these girls are so amazing girl. And then I think I'm a lucky woman to meet all of them. They're easy. They just need love. They need eating. They need to go to school. And that is so great. And then, you know, day by day, they always inspire me every day. And they are very good girl. And then, first of all, I just want to say thank you to Lexi Nixis. I just talked to her like a few years ago. I feel always victim because because no one helping me, and I have no protection by the law, by human rights, nothing. But a few years ago, when I meet Peter, he's from Lexi Nixis before, and then they always give me advice. Somaly, no, you have to say no. Somaly, that we have law. And I start to say, now I have to deal and say no to everyone. So why we try to deal a little bit with everyone too. So thank you for that. And today I saw all my Cambodian people coming. I'm so proud. It's my first time, no, my second time after Seattle to see some Cambodian girl and boy coming and, you know, see each other. So talking about, I don't want to go straight to my life because, you know, as you know, it's not easy to talk about life. Talk about life is you have life easy, yes, it's great. But when you have lives like my life, it's hell, it's horrible. And then now I start so tired because 3 weeks in United States, I have to go back tomorrow. So I just want to start about victim. What is a victim? And I was also a victim myself. How I can start my life now. No, I don't want to start my life, but start about the victim. I'm not only one woman or girl in my country who have been suffering. A lot of Cambodian people are suffering a lot. And then I think that we have a lot of witnesses. Maybe you can talk to them. Their parents have been through this horrible 30 years of war. And then always we have a lot of problem in Cambodia. Khmer Rouge, everyone talking about that, killing. So all through that, I lost my parents. Like a lot of the Cambodian people who lose their parents. But I'm as a young girl, you know, I was so young. And I don't know who I am. I have no name, no parents. And that born without parents, no name, nothing. And everyone call you everybody wants. They call you black, Khmer, because I'm dark. And they give you all the names. And then, second thing, because I'm from the mountain. I'm from the ethnic minority. It's Cambodian, North Cambodian. So from the Cambodian people are in the town, they think that I am the monkey. So that discrimination starts very badly. So life as a girl stay in street children, stay in the street. It's always easy for the people who want to get advantage. It means, you know, I always like, I miss family, I miss father, I miss mother, I miss love. I want to hold my mom like everyone. But never and ever. And I just like thinking like, if one day come up to me, I can find my parents. That is so great, but no. And come up the day, I have been trafficking as a victim. One day a man coming, he's nice, he's old, and then he looked at me, and then he tell me that he's my grandfather, and he can bring me to see my parents, to find out my parents. So it's easy for me. I never have been happy in my life, but when he tell me that he's my grandfather, I said, oh my God, think now I have grandfather, I have mother, I can find family. And then after I live with him, he bring me to the province because my hometown in Mandalukiri is far away to go to the town, and I'm not speaking Cambodian, nothing. I just speak my ethnic minority. But by attitude, I saw him, the first day when he bring me to his province, I look at him, he start to order me by, like, you have to do it, you have to do it. And I feel, okay, for me, I can do everything for him, so start working as slave. But I never feel that I'm slave. I feel nothing because we have born with that problem. I have never opened my eyes to see if the people, they are better than me. And then after when one day he started to sell me the brothel. He started to sell me first with a guy that I said first, like, I know that I made a big mistake. I have to stay in my hometown in case it's cold, ethnic minority, but they never beating me. They never hit me. But not in Cambodia. So start by life, very dark life, souling, so I don't feel human anymore. I never feel. And I feel no hope. Yes, Pat. That life going very badly, and then, like, I try to explain you and to explain everyone, like, when you have been raped all the time by the man or in the brothel, we never have the courage to manage to get out of the brothel. Why you have to get out of the brothel? For whom? You dead inside. Why? So when you ask me a lot, when we save the girl from the brothel, sometimes human rights come to me and they tell me, Somali, the girl, they want to stay in the brothel, they don't want to come to the shelter. And I look at her, you know nothing about them. We have to work with them, let us, because we know that they are victims. They have no choice. They have no one left them. When we save them from the brothel, how they can get like, I trust you, I can go with you. Never, never and ever. Just by the survivor. So in our shelter we had a group of survivors. She's a survivor. Just by the survivor, they going and meet with them and then talk, share the story with them. That I was a survivor like you. I am like you. When I was saved by the police, I don't want to escape from the brothel. But look at me now. I'm the staff of the foundations. I going in United States, I learning, I going to school. So they show their life. Please give you 3 days, or 1 day, or 3 days, 1 week, come in the shelter, take a shower, relaxing. And then after the girl look at, she's victim like me, I victim. So just buy the survivor because they know the way how they can share their life with each other. So the girl, okay, I'm going to the shelter. And then when they coming, and then after everyone come up to them. And that is that. But victim never and ever. Why? No one love us. Who? You, when you pass all the street and all the red light, you see the girl prostitute in the street, you ask a question, why they are here? You just like walking them and then, they are prostitute. But never you ask yourself, why they are in the brothel? Why she become prostitute? Ask your questions. I believe a woman's. We don't want to be raped. We don't want to give our body to all the men around. It's not our pleasure. Women have have their honest. I'm sorry, I'm getting nervous.
No, not at all. Thank you for sharing that. And I wanted to ask you about this issue of sharing. In the advocacy work that you're doing, a big part of that is telling your own story. You work with other survivors who are telling their stories. And in my experience, not as a survivor, but as an advocate who has worked with a lot of survivors of sexual violence, we find that on the one hand, it's absolutely critical that people tell personal stories in order to connect with others and to inspire them to care. But on the other hand, there is a risk of re-traumatizing people. And so I'm wondering, how do you deal with this individually? How do you deal with it in terms of the other women and girls that you work with?
You know, first when I saw them and look at them, and I know what is pain in their heart. So how I can get them out, because they are like me. They don't believe the people. They don't believe me if I don't talk my story to them. Of course, when I talk to them, it hurt me very badly. But if I can save them, that is make me light. And it make me so happy. When you save one life, you go back and you save her. She become a great. You will save her. You give her the hope. So sometimes it's compared. You get very hurt, very much. At the same time, girl, you can save them. So like I always tell, like more you know, I'm here. I'm here because of the girl. I'm here because of them. Because every day I work very hard. But for me, it's not work. When Lori coming and try, everyone very crazy. They tell me, you are so crazy. You try us very crazy. But for me, my day going to the shelter, working with the girl is my holiday. Why? Because they give me like what we calling there? Energy. They are like charging. They are like my battery. And then I saw them like, save them like the first day when they coming. I know that January when I save her first time 7 years old, she's scared, she's sad, and day by day they become children. Day by day they go to school. Day by day they playing each other. They call me grandmother. They call me mother. That is so beautiful, and that is my great day. But to come to United States, that is not my great day.
Well, we were talking a little before about this issue of terminology and the word victim and the word survivor, and when you use one versus the other and what you mean by that. So if I may, I'll just read you the Somaly Mam Foundation mission statement that has those words in it. So we'll listen for those words, and if you could talk a bit more about it as we did before the program. So the mission is to give victims and survivors a voice in their lives, liberate victims, end slavery, and empower survivors as they create and sustain lives of dignity. These two words are debated a lot in the anti-sexual violence movement, and I'm wondering if you could talk about why you use those words and what they mean. Mm-hmm.
What is a victim? What is survivor? I never going to school like all of you. I have no education, but by my experience, the victim, they are not stand up. They stay in the brothel. The girls stay in the brothel. They have no choice. They have no hope. They have not courage to, to stand up and then get out. And sometimes the girls are staying in our shelter too. They feel like, no, I cannot do it. No, they are not strong. But the survivor like Sina, look at her. She's a real survivor. She's like, she know how to fight. And she fight with me every day. She fight with me. When she's not happy, she say, I'm not happy. Don't do it with my girl. Don't do it with my sister. You have to, because they are strong, because they know how to help the people. They know how to fight. They know how they want. That for me is survivor. And give dignity. Dignity, in our country, I think Asia or Cambodia, when you are poor, and when you have been sold in the brothel, you have been raped, you have no dignity, nothing. The word dignity in Cambodia is very badly. If you are rich, if everything that you have dignity, compared to his, not the same. So for me, like, even they have been sold in the brothel, even they have been raped by a lot of clans, but they are very good heart. They are so good. And they try to help another. And they have dignity. So I love the word dignity.
It's a great word.
Oh, for me, yes. I've been even, I have been even last years. I always fight for dignity because the people, I remember when I was so young, when I go in and ask the people, can you give me, sometimes it's raining and I just go to their house because it's raining. And they told me, you are very bad girl, you are very bad lucky, you don't come in my house, you make my house stubborn. And they rejecting, so what is dignity for me? And I always fight. I have no parents. We are victims. We also have dignity. And then last 2 years, I was received a word by the Roland Berger Award for dignity, and they provide us €1 million to provide all the survivor, all the girls, to help all the girls now in our shelter, and I got it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well deserved. The word dignity does appear in a number of international human rights instruments, and I think it is one that is hard to define but resonates quite deeply. And on this issue of law, again, we talked a little bit before about the fact that in Phnom Penh, brothels are operating quite openly, and yet prostitution is illegal in Cambodia. So what does that tell us about law? And more specifically, do you have thoughts, or I know you do, could you share with us your thoughts about whether legalization and regulation of prostitution might be a better way to go in terms of rooting out the worst abuses?
First of all, we have to, in our country, it's so corrupted. Of course, that it's illegal for the prostitute, but it still have a lot of brothels open. I think that Lori, she's make it already because she's the one who see it. She was in, it's not just with me, but she was with a lot of associations. And then it's still open because they pay, because they are corrupting, because some of the brothels, they have been protected by the police, protected by the political. If they are not protected, they cannot open a brothel. So that's the kind of corruptions. So for me, all time, I have now my third time when I come to the law school, I always tell Bill, it's not I hate it, but law is never to me. Never, ever for the victim. And we try to fight right until now, that we try to, And then, so in Cambodia, she talked about consent, right? If I understand. She has been raped by the man. We go to the court tell, because she wears short skirt. Why she has been raped by this man? So the man not go to the jail, but because of her fault. Nearly they had to put her in the jail. And she's not 8, she's 8 years old, she's 7 years old. And then after the parent, I don't want her because she's born very bad luck. She tried to fight, stand up. She stayed with us 7 years gone. 7 years. She go back home. The mother tried to sold her again. She suicide. And she died a few months ago. So where is law for her? Where is law for us? Where the justice? Where the justice? No justice. And after to have we have to abolitions or in English so bad. I am abolitionist.
The abolitionist movement. Mm-hmm.
In my country, I don't know, in United States, but I am for abolitions. I am for helping the women, helping these people, provide them training, provide them work. I know that the women don't want to sell themselves. And then if a woman, they do it alone, she have no pimp, she have nothing, they do it, but just help her to provide her the psychology, help her, because maybe she have the psychology problem, maybe they have another thing. Stayed in Cambodia now when I still working with the girl I call victim, that they still in the brothel, but they don't want to escape from the brothel. Even they don't want to escape, but I all time, and Sina every day in the morning, she going to meet them, talk to them, empower them, try to make, please get out. But in my country, if you make legal, like this, like legal is recognized the prostitutions, is dead because it's really corrupted.
And so, speaking of this corruption, when you conduct these raids of brothels, you're working in collaboration with law enforcement, and yet the police in Cambodia are widely thought to be corrupt. They themselves perpetuate sexual violence against sex workers. So how do you deal with that? On the one hand, using them as partners. On the other hand, having to be concerned about the abuses they may
How
perpetrate.
I deal with that, even their corruption, I have to stand up and deal it. And we have to fight it, show it. Of course, that don't make like, even the police, they are corrupted. The government, they are corrupted. But we still have some police are good. More than 10 years, we identify the people are good, but it's still always enough one good, but in the group not. Sometimes it's still a lot of surprise. I mean, like sometimes we make, okay, we have to go and raid this brothel. When we arrive, no brothel anymore, all closed. It's nothing. You still have it. But if you disappointed and you say they are so corrupted and run away, who help this girl? Who are dangerous? It is the girl. So even they are like this, we have to be near them, push them, talk to them, shouting, like I always like, they call me, I'm the big mouth. I never stop. I make them very headache. And then look, we have now 6,000 girls have been saved, and then 2008 we had the law passed in Cambodia, trafficking law. That is so great, even it's still corrupted, but we have NKJF law. You just try to work with the law enforcement, just try to work with the people who are implement on the field work. So don't leave it. We have to stand up and then make them like headache, and then one day they do it.
And so I'm curious to hear more about what life is like for the girls in your shelter. In particular, what their relationships are like with one another. You told me a bit about the peer-to-peer relationships and how important those are. I'd also love for you to talk about the girls and their relationships with their families, some of whom have perhaps been complicit in their abuse.
So the question is, how is the relation between girl and girl in the shelter?
Anything you'd like to tell us about life in the shelter, but I'm especially interested in the relationships between the girls and also the relationship between the girls and their parents.
I think if you want to ask a question about relationship between girl and girl, maybe you can ask Sina. Now she's a survivor. Maybe you can ask Dali, because she's still in the shelter. And then we have some Cambodian here can help me to translate. And then after also with like some of the girls who have been sold by the, we are, I don't know how to explain you. I am always, if I'm working in the shelter with the girl, I just want to care them. I just want to hold them. I don't care about the people talking about. Sometimes the parents sell them in the brothel. We save them. The girl try to escape from the brothel. We have them. The parents come back and tell them, get them back to the brothel. And then sometimes I get, no, enough. You sell your children. So now don't come in my shelter. I don't care. Don't come in. And then she just tried to manage to go to the journalists, to go to human rights. Somali, you have to. I didn't know. They sell their own children. No way that I let them go into the shelter. And the girl, they are so scared. Because after experience, how many girls who have been all time, like their mother coming, talking to them, they, first of all, they become like, okay, now I get out, mommy, and go to school and that and that. By the family coming, talking about their life very bad, nothing eating, they feel sorry, they feel, I have to sacrifice my life for the family again. So they run away, they go to brothel again. It's not fair. They are children, they have to go to school. And we have to protect them. Who protect them if their mother not? We are. Our survivor, our staff.
We also talked a little bit about this issue of brothel raids and how controversial it is, whether it's just being debated in the academic literature. I've seen some of it in the popular press. I know it's been an issue in Cambodia, different organizations employing different strategies, organizations critiquing one another's strategies about whether this kind of police-oriented raid is the best way to go. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about that and why you think raids are a good strategy as a starting point for intervention.
Depends on where we go to raid. It's not raid in the gardens because some of the police they go in the garden, they arrest the girl. So when we talk about raid, it's in the brothel. Maybe you are more clear than me in English. You are English now. When we call raid, it means the girl who has been locked in the brothel. It means no access. They have been in the cage. They put them in the cage, and then when they lock off, it means that they bring them and they have clan. After clan, bring them back and they lock back in the. You have to see all the cage. We have some photo of the cage, and then that we have to rescue them. We have to save them from that. They are not animal. Even your dog here are not in the cage. So how about the humans? How about the girl? When some of the cage, some of the brothel, when you see the jail, we call the jail, they just like, can you describe it? I get that was it now. They have like very dark thing like there, and they put the girl in so dark they cannot reach, they cannot see. It's like Sina, she was 2 years, right? 2 years. Can you explain it? You can speak English. 2 years in the cage, she never see the sun. Never. They just bring her. What is thong mean? We have Cambodian here. I saw some of them there. Huh? You was last night there, so what is thong mean? Huh?
Cage. You were using that
Cage,
word.
yeah.
You don't need a translator.
It's a cage. And then they never see the sun. Mm-hmm. And then when we save her, the sun, they have shocked with the sun. Mm-hmm. And that we have to save them. We have to rescue them.
Mm-hmm. So part of the criticism, though, is that when someone is rescued, there's just another girl that will take her place, and the system continues. So I know part of what your foundation and your organization does is to try to also address the root causes, the more systemic problems that are leading to this industry. So could you talk a little bit about the root causes and the social issues that you're working on?
It's like our work is like, we can save them. You can save them. Now we're going to save thousands of them. But if we don't have law enforcement, if the people implement the law, they are so corrupted, we can save 1,000, but 1,000 going. So who we need? Who we need? Political commitments. And they have to work together. UN, political and entrepreneur, that in French, like body shop, what do you call about? Private sector, like we have to work all together, corporate. We are in Cambodia. I don't know how to stop it, but you guys can. You guys can. By the work, because you guys all have the school, architecture, you know how to manage it. I know how to go and save them and give them a hug and love them. But you know how to end this. So why have Billy more here? If no, I don't need him. I need him to changing the world. So I bring my voice, but he had to implement my voice. Laurie Holden, she star actress. She have also to. We have all to be together. I always tell that the organized crime, they are very well organized. But the people are against organized crime. We keep talking and talking and talking a lot. Sometimes I get fed up from the fieldwork,
So we'll open it up to questions in a moment, but I wanted to invite you to talk about how people might help. So you wanted to end on a more positive note. If you could talk about things that those of us who are here today might do to help. You've done that a little bit already. And then I think you wanted to introduce some of the girls that you're working with so that they might talk to folks after the program.
Yes, so how to help? I think maybe Laurie started already, but I just want to share with amazing woman who girl you. She's 24 years old. She also studied like all of you. And then she make amazing work. It's not just the money that she raised for us, but she give hope to the girl. She give love. She give a lot. She give everything. everything. She come to the shelter, she see everything, and when she come back, she bring all the. Okay, go ahead, please. Stephanie, she from Australia, and last night she had been awarded by the victim by the Voice for Change. So please, Stephanie, can you stand up and then talk a little bit why, how to, I don't know, stand up. I'm coming here, going there.
There is a microphone.
Just quickly, I won't take up too much of your time because I know you probably want to all speak to Somali. I read Somali's book in 2007 when I was in Cambodia on a different charity bike ride, and that works. Anyway,
You are too small.
Okay, just hold it with her hands. And I was shocked. I spoke to some of you guys outside about her book that's on sale outside, and it just shocked me and horrified me, but above all, it broke my heart, and I just thought, I've got to do something. So I do events, public relations and marketing back home. That's my kind of career, and I just thought, how can I do something? So I used my skills, and I organised a bike ride through Cambodia, which happened in March of this year, and that's the first time I met Somali. We raised $79,000 US in Australia and overseas. We had 21 participants from all around the world. We got to go to Cambodia, learn about this amazing country, meet Somali, meet these beautiful girls at the shelter, and that was just the most life-changing experience. I seriously thought to myself, this is my good deed for 5 years. I am sweet, you know what I mean? But then coming back, you can't stop. Once you meet her, once you meet these beautiful girls, once you see the work that the Somaly Mam Foundation does, not just rescuing girls, they rehabilitate them, they integrate them. Like Somaly said, they give them love. That's all they want. And I remember one of the girls came up to me and said, it was so heartbreaking. She goes, thank you for treating me like a human being. Do you know what I mean? She was, I don't know how old she was, but, she was maybe 15, I don't know. And it was heartbreaking. And once you have that experience, you will go back. Your life will be changed. You won't be able to stop doing something and doing whatever you can, reaching out in whatever capacity. Again, like Somaly said, it wasn't even the money raised, it was more the awareness. And once the awareness is out there, it's kind of like a flow-through process. It will happen. So yeah, it was more about raising awareness, and because it was such a success, we're doing it every single year. It's on the Foundation's website, so check it out, the Futures 10 Cycling Tour. We're hoping to double the amount of participants we had last year, so 40, and raise double the amount of money. So we're hoping to raise 200,000 Australian dollars, which we can do it. We're going to blow that away. So again, it's the passion. You just need to be really passionate about the cause, and meeting Somali and these beautiful, beautiful girls and hearing about all she's done, the rest is history. It's just, you're stuck with me, Somali. Sorry.
Thank you.
Did you want to introduce anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to share with you. I have two girls. I call her sister, but she called me mommy. It's not fair. Sina and Chandra, can you come in, Yanni?
If you want them to speak, they should go to the microphone.
Yeah, that Chuma. That is amazing girl like Sina, 8 years ago. She had been trafficking from Vietnam to Cambodia. She even didn't speak Cambodian at all. The first day I remember her ass fell because she make me crazy time, right, Sina? The day that I saved her, she coming to the shelter. She hate Cambodian people because all her clan is Cambodia. So she just tried to kill the people and fighting the people. And then all my stuff like Somali, she don't want to stay with her. Let her along, let her go. And I look at my stuff. No way. Pass me. I just go to see her by my personally. I just okay, Sina, you and I, we have to talk and we have to stay all time together. And I keep, 8 years now, right? and then last month, Sina had been in Regis University. She go to school. It's her first time to go to university, and now I think she can speak English. She understand all the word, but she need really. She can speak by her own now. She don't need me anymore. And then she's the one who give her hope. She's the one who give me hope, because if one day I'm dying, because we don't know, who killed me. I have her. I have 6 girls. I have 20 girls. If you can kill all of them, yes, but no. So now all of them, so they inspire us. They inspire me. They inspire everyone. So, Sina, you want to talk a little bit something? Eva, go ahead.
Hello. I think can talk. How do you do? Yeah, I speak English so a little bit because I learn 1 month university in Denver. I slowly, but I think not clear. I'm Bansina. I'm 25 years old. I'm Vietnamese, not Cambodia. I come Cambodia so young. I don't speak Cambodia. I don't eat food Cambodia. I know everything in Cambodia. I don't know.
Who can help? Human settlements, right?
Yeah.
It means what?
The human settlement, the people who sell people.
Traffickers.
The trafficker.
Yes, trafficker. I don't know. I say, why you bring me here? Can you bring me back in Vietnamese? I know stay here. No, why you bring me here? This boss in the process, he say, you stay here, you work here, because in the Yihai, bring you here, take the money, go out. I don't know her. You can stay here. I say, no, I don't know why do here. I don't know. Can you bring it back. But in the process, fight me every day. ខ្ញុំធំធាត់ឡើងដោយក្តីតនកម្មនិយាយរួមទៅខ្ញុំចង់និយាយខ្មែរច្រើនជាងពីព្រោះភាសាអង់គ្លេសខ្ញុំគឺខ្ញុំបាននិយាយតែពាក្យដែលស្រាលទេតែពាក្យដែលខ្ញុំចង់និយាយអ្នកនរគ្នាបានយល់គឺនៃជំរឿចិត្តរបស់ខ្ញុំ
Okay, mana go na she just grow up because she have been trafficked very young, and she just grow up with the violence, rape, and all things. So she just want to talk in Cambodia. It's better for her to get out of her heart. Okay, trong đây trong vậy với con, trong vậy mình trong vậy bánh gì?
How do you do? I am Midali. I'm 15 years old. I am stay in Kampong Jam Center. And
គេសួរថាចេះសួរថាពេលណាខ្លួនឯងនៅក្នុងមណ្ឌលហ្នឹងតើការរស់នៅក្នុងមណ្ឌលស្រឡាញ់គ្នាយ៉ាងម៉េច right you when you ask a question when you stay in the shelter how you life share right និយាយខ្មែរមានបងនៅខាងលើបកចេញមកមួយមក can one of you can one of you come and then help her to translate come on man coming
Into the microphone, please.
Can
you speak in the microphone, please?
គេសួរថាតើជីវិតយើងនៅក្នុងមណ្ឌលតែយើងហើយចែករំលែកគ្នាយ៉ាងម៉េចខ្លះតែចាជីវិតយើងក្នុងមណ្ឌលយ៉ាងម៉េចខ្លះ What is the life in the shelter
She said that the relationship between the girls at the shelter is they care for each other and respect each other because they all have one life together. They all have the same experiences. and so they look after another as if they were one person, as if they were like sisters. And she says that the girls at the shelter do need your help.
Okay,
Please speak slowly when you ask your question. I'll ask one more question, if I may. HIV/AIDS is clearly a problem. Can you talk about what your organization does to address this issue?
Bira, you are the one who can better talk about HIV/AIDS. Please. I just try, the foundation's shelter, I'm not alone. I'm not amazing people, but I have amazing staff. I have amazing people are near me, so I just want to share with everyone. I'm nothing, I'm just the mother.
The question is, I'm interested in how you integrate HIV/AIDS prevention into the other work that you're doing.
In order to get access to the brothels and to be able to have meaningful one-on-one conversations with the residents of the brothels, to identify when a brothel has an underage child. One of our methodology for that is our HIV prevention and hygiene program, where we actually have both Cambodian medical professionals and survivors of trafficking together go out and host HIV awareness days at the brothels, where they hand out condoms and they talk about hygiene. What this allows us to do is begin to build a rapport with the residents of the brothels in a very trusting manner, so that we're able to offer them shelter and care if they make that decision. We're also able to talk about our programs, and we're also, that rapport leads to, if there is a very young child trafficked into a brothel, oftentimes those women will act as informants for us and help us build the case to make the intervention. But what's really critical about it is that we're able to have our survivors work directly with the women that are in the brothels. So it's a very effective way for intervention for us to work.
Thank you. That's Bill Livermore, by the way. He's the executive director of the foundation. Thank you, Bill. So we'll take a question here.
I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for coming and sharing your story with us. I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit. You've mentioned corruption among the police, and also that there is so much organized crime involved in the trafficking situation. And I was just wondering, I know organized crime, along with the police, a lot of times go after activists who are working against sex trafficking. And I was just wondering how you deal with people who, obviously want sex trafficking to continue and aren't afraid of being violent to keep it going.
I just try to answer one by one, okay? You know, I'm forgetting.
How do you stay safe?
So just first of all, I just want to give hope. It's not all the people are corrupted, of course. The government, some of them, they are good. A lot of them are bad. But we still have the good people. And the organized crime, how it still survives. Maybe God help me. I don't know. The organized crime, when we talk about organized crime, it's not just Cambodia. It's also in the United States. It's also we have the mafia from Russia, from Vietnam, from China. But the big mafia from Russia, because we heard a lot about that. And of course that all this organized crime, they always again with the activist people. I have a friend of mine, few years ago she had been killed. But by whom, by what, we don't know, but she had been killed. They just take a gun, but we have no follow-up for that. And she's the one who working like us too, not much on the act like me, but like she's also have the shelter and helping. And one of them, she's in the United States. She's been attacked by the pedophile. Because they have very big razor, they have a lot of money, they have a lot of things. Now she get, I'm fed up, I leave Cambodia, now she's here. and how I can have stay safe. I think first of all, I just want to say thank you to United States. They protect my life.
Question over here.
Oui.
Thank you so much for coming and talking and speaking with us here. I was wondering about the kind of awareness that you're doing in Cambodia besides like going into the brothels and helping the girls. Because I know you said that a lot of the men believe that if they have sex with a virgin, then they get cured of, or like they get strength and whatever. And I was wondering if the Somaly Mam Foundation was doing anything to change the cultural mindset in Cambodia, because obviously these are not like scientific truths.
We have the project who work with the military because they are the best, police, and also the clans. We call the project, we call in French, who speak French, Changement Comportement Sexuel. Can you translate it, please? Yes. So we try to explain to men because a lot of the men come to me and they tell me, Somaly, I have been married with my wife like 3 years. I never see her breathing. And then, you know, because in Cambodia we have the culture, the women are so shy, and then have married without love. No love, because we have been forced married. So the first night, like when Laurie talking about all of the first night is rape. So we try to explain men, we try to explain the parents, we try to explain them that you have first of all love first to become like this. So you can go to read our website or read my book, please, because I have to speak very long time. So now we have the project. We try to change in the men's side. It's like the virgin is give you nothing, but HIV/AIDS maybe, because the girl who have been like, he raped as a virgin, but they have been stitching and sold again and sold again. And so he can affect HIV/AIDS very fast. So that we're trying. So now some of the men are good. They become good. Not all of them, of course, but you know, we always try like drop by drop. And then we have also our survivor who are going in the community, talking with the parents, sharing the life with the military, with the police again, and they talk about their own life in the brothel. And sometimes the men, they didn't realize that in the brothel the girl suffering. They crying. They come to them, they hold them. Oh my God, I make your life like this. Because they born with this. They never realize that. And then they have also talking with law enforcement. They are very, very activity. I think that maybe all of you are interesting. After you can go talk to Bill. He's here and he can explain you for whole that.
Question over here.
Thank you so much, Somaly, for coming here and sharing your experience with us. It was brought up during the introduction that, and please correct me if I'm mistaken, Buddhist faith, there's an inherent belief within Buddhist faith that what happened to the unfortunate girls was because of previous lives they had or experiences they had in previous lives. I was wondering how the Somaly Mam Foundation addressed that. Thank you.
Oh my God, I'm not Buddhist, I'm nothing. I'm just the Buddhist way. Can you help me to translate? ខ្មែរយើងគេនិយាយថាបើសិនជាជាតិនឹងធ្វើបើសិនជាជាតិមុនធ្វើក្រក់អញ្ចឹងឯងមិនជាតិនឹងគឺថាអំពើអាក្រក់ដែលយើងធ្វើនោះវាមកយើងវិញណាហើយដល់ពេលអញ្ចឹងទៅយើងសាក់លបងនឹងអប់រំបងប្អូនដែលថាកុំឲ្យជឿរឿងហ្នឹងឯងសោះហើយយើងtryយើងសាក់លបងអប់រំទាំងអស់គ្នាប្រាប់ថាពេលខ្លះចំណុចរបស់ Buddhist មានអាក្រក់មានល្អកន្លែងណាក៏ដោយក៏មានអាក្រក់មានល្អប៉ុន្តែអាហ្នឹងពេលខ្លះគ្រាន់តែថាយើងយកមកពិបាកបញ្យល់មែនតើព្រោះអាហ្នឹងវាជាវប្បធម៌ជាស្អីគេជាសាសនាចាជាសាសនាប៉ុន្តែពេលខ្លះយើងយកគាត់ដូចថាទៅវត្តអញ្ចឹងទៅឲ្យគេពេលខ្លះលោកមានពុទ្ធដីកាជាមួយទៅក្មេងនឹងល្អជាងយើងអញ្ចឹងពេលខ្លះយើងគ្រាន់តែអញ្ជើញឲ្យលោកមកមណ្ឌលហើយលោកមានពុទ្ធដីកាជាមួយក្មេងៗក៏លោកគាត់ encourage ឲ្យដូចថាងើបឈរកុំឲ្យគិតថាមកពីជាតិមុនជាតិក្រោយហើយធ្វើអំពើល្អគិតថាខ្លួនយើងមានតម្លៃវ៉ាវវែងណាស់
I think you might need to come to the microphone.
I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
So what I got from that was, yes, in Buddhism there is a belief of karma, and what you did in your past life does reflect your future lives. However, just like in many religions, a lot of people like to pick and choose what they believe, and this is a very strong belief, especially in Khmer culture, because it's very rooted into the culture itself. And so what she has been trying to do is to inform them that this is not why. But that's like really hard to do, because the religion itself is not really a different sector of life as we have in the U.S., but it's just part of the life in Cambodia. And so all we can do is to inform them and just have them not believe that, but it's really up to them if they still accept that or not.
And then after we try to encourage the monk.
They try to encourage the monks to report this and to tell everybody that there is karma, but maybe not to that extent, or like just not to believe it so like devotedly, but it's still up to the people.
Yeah, but the monk, the role is more important, so we work very close with, in our shelter we are not Buddhist, we are not nothing. We accept everyone. If they are victim or survivor, we accept everyone. If they are Muslim, we have also some girl Muslim, we bring them. If they want, we respect everyone's. And then we work also with the monk. So we try to encourage the monk, and the monk come in the shelter. And then, because the girl, they believe him more than me, right? So he give a talk that, no, that is wrong way, but you have to go to this way. And they and the girls still very believe on that. And they get here we have the monk come oftenly in the shelter.
Okay, we'll take these last two questions, if you would be so kind as to keep them brief.
Thank you. Hi,
Ms. Mom. Thank you again for coming and sharing your story. My question is, because sex trafficking is a transnational problem, because it happens in so many countries like Vietnam and Thailand and Cambodia, I was wondering if your foundation planned or are collaborating with like ASEAN or like other regional associations.
I just want to invite Bill to answer this question. Please, Bill. He has to talk, right?
Yes. Actually, the purpose of the Somaly Mam Foundation, as Somali said, organized crime is very organized. We're seeing organized crime families and syndicates traffic victims from Southeast Asia into Northern Asia and China and Japan. And then we even had a case that ended here in LA where a 7-year-old girl was trafficked from Cambodia to Japan, from there to an Argentinian drug family, to a Colombian drug family, then to a Mexican drug family, and she ended up being trafficked into Los Angeles, and she was rescued on a street in Los Angeles at the age of 14. So 7 years of being trafficked around the world. A Japanese gentleman who works with Children of the Night identified her. We've been working with her, but mentally and emotionally she's so destroyed that it's very difficult to work with her. So we're seeing organized crime work very well, but we haven't seen NGOs work well together. And so one of the mandates that I have with the foundation is to identify ways that we can work with survivors, not just from the shelters that Somalia has in Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia, but also how can we provide scholarships to survivors from all organizations. We provide, we're building businesses that will provide jobs for survivors of all organizations. We work with IJM in International Justice Mission in Cambodia. We work with Chop Dai. We work with Hagar. We're building awareness campaigns that we're funding, but we're getting their messages out with it, and we're highlighting their organizations. So there is a significant movement to work with other organizations around Southeast Asia, which is where our focus is today. And likewise, we work with the UN, with State Department, ECPAT. So we're trying to bridge those gaps today.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. Last question.
Thank you for coming. I was wondering, have you seen any boy victims in the brothels or rescued them to your shelters?
We have boys in Cambodia who have been, they have been abused by the pedophile, a young boy. In Thailand, we have also the men who have been trafficked too. We just working with the girl, but when we have boy, we send them to friends. We have a lot of association working on the field work, so they just specialize on the boy and on the men's side. We are specialize on the girl and women's side. We cannot mix them, they was like victim boy and victim girl. It's not, sometimes they get so confused. So we just try to separate it. Thank you.
I hope you'll all join us for the reception and that you'll join me in warmly thanking Somaly Mam for her presentation.